Hello and welcome back to the channel. We got another round of the Miyagi Japanese One Piece TCG OP06 championships. We're moving into our top 4 round here. Now, looking at this, if you don't know what this says, this is the deck distribution of the top 4. So right now, in the top 4, there is one Katakuri, there is one Yamato, one Newgate, and then one Moira. Now, if you didn't see in the previous videos, we actually showcased the first couple rounds, some very, very exciting matches. I think round 1 was Sakazuki and Yamato, and then the second round was Enel and Gecko Moira. So if you haven't watched those videos, there's a playlist up in the iCard that popped up. Go click that now if you want to see those other matches, maybe save them for later. So this is going to be really, really fun. Just want to clarify as well that I do not own the rights to this broadcast. This broadcast is the stream of the actual Miyagi championships. So that's what I'm watching it from, providing my own commentary, no ad revenue or anything like that. Link will be in the description below or in the comments, the pinned comments, because this is my secondary channel. I'm just providing my own fun commentary to learn more about the game and stuff like that. So I don't think I've verified my account yet in terms of having links in the description, so it's going to be in the comment at least, so pinned comment below. But anyways, that's enough talking. Let's just get into it. So we got our 2 decks here, Edward Newgate on the left, Katakuri on the right. Now this feels like a matchup of time and old, but these deck lists are a little bit different, especially the Katakuri deck lists, especially with some different cards that have come out with OP05 and OP06. So I think I've got the deck list pulled up of the different individuals. I think it's the correct Katakuri list, so I'll be able to tell you about all the cards that each player gets. So here we are looking. I saw in that Newgate hand they had the 4-drop Marco that's going to be unbanned in English. They had a Rush Zoro as well, Rush Sanji, like 6-drop, I think it is, Rush Sanji. Still figuring out what the Katakuri player is playing, and also 2 Rush Zoros, and then a Ace as well. So I wonder if they're thinking about mulliganing, possibly. I don't know. I mean, you have a pretty good hand turn 3 at least, but maybe you want to mulligan and try to find like one of your Namis or something like that, or your Izzos, your 1-drop searchers, and I think that's probably what they're going for at this point. All right, so here we go. Both players now having to take their starting hands, whatever that may be, not even looking at the hand, just going ahead and putting out their prizes. 6 on Edward Newgate's side, 5 on Katakuri's side. And I think Newgate's actually going first. Looks like they drew 2 Marcos and 2 Jozus along with a guard point. That is actually, I think, a worse hand. Oh, I'm sorry, not 2 Jozus. It is 1 Marco blocker, 2 5-drop Marcos, a Jozu, and a guard point. I think that this is arguably a worse hand, just because you don't have any pressure that you can put on Enel with the Rush Zoros on your second turn if you're going first. So we'll see what they've got in this hand. They've got 2 vanilla 4-drop Zoros. They've got 2 7-drop Big Moms, and then also this 5-cost Gadatsu. So if they're going second, it's not terrible because you can start getting people down, but you're not swinging second turn going second because Newgate is that 6,000 power leader. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I am curious. I think probably Newgate. Does Newgate want to go first or second? Probably first, right? I would think. In the OP06 meta, I don't know if times change or not, but it looks like Newgate is going to go first. They're just going to draw their Dawn, pass, and it looks like they got a Radical Beam off that life. Remember, at the end of every turn for Newgate, add the top of your life card to your hand. So Katakuri playing down one of those one-drop Charlotte Puddings. Going to be looking for a Big Mom Pirate or Sanji, and it looks like they're eyeing up this Pharaoh's Pharaoh, and they are going to take it that alternate art Pharaoh's Pharaoh. This is a tricked-out deck. Definitely, for sure. This deck is worth a lot more money than any of the decks that I have. But anyways, Newgate now top decking the Jozu. Wouldn't surprise me now if you see 2 onto the Newgate and swinging 8 at leader potentially. Looks like they're going to end up swinging 7 at Newgate. They do have guard point and then also radical beam. So I'm wondering if they're just like, I don't even, do you expect them to swing with pudding? I don't know. They could, they might. Looks like now they have 2 Marcos. They have 2 of each Marco and then 2 Jozus. So very, very interesting starting hands, I feel like, for both players. And it looks like Katakuri now is going to be swinging 7, I'm sorry, because they're looking at the top of their life. 7 at Newgate. Gonna have to just take it. It looks like they're opting to do. Gonna be putting Nami in their hand and then dropping down that Pharaoh's Pharaoh, passing, setting up their board state. So now we've got Edward Newgate going into this turn. I think they just got a rush ace character right there into their 5 Dawn turn. I would definitely try to swing 6 up top here and then getting rid of, well, no, I don't know if I would get rid of Pharaoh's Pharaoh right here. Maybe you play the Nami to try, well, your options also are Jozu, Marco. You could Marco, get rid of the pudding potentially, and look at that, off that trigger there, off that 6, it's going to be that, what's that guy's name? Satori going down onto the field, and they are just going to rest that 5 on that Marco and pass the turn, going into the 6 Dawn turn for Katakuri as well. I think that's a Charlotte Amande. No, that's not a Charlotte Amande. That's the one guy. What is that? Gadatsu? Yeah, I think that's Gadatsu that he just put in the right side of his hand there. So 6 Dawn turn, again, you've got a couple different options in here. You don't have anything that's less than a 4-drop, right? I think. So maybe going down, if you look at the 5-drop Gadatsu, K up to one of your opponent's characters with the cost equal or less than their life. It's not really going to work in this situation because Marco and just Newgate in general, just taking away their own life and building up that hand is so good. But swinging with Pharaoh's Pharaoh first, they're going to take that life, and then the whatchamacallit, that guy, I always forget this guy's name, Satori, swinging 7 into Satori, and a 2k Jozu is just going to do the trick, and it looks like they're going to be swinging probably 8. Yeah, looking at the top of their life, they're going to be swinging 8 into Newgate leader, and they're just going to take it. They're going to let all of their life come into their hand right now, and I think that's a Rush Luffy, like Treasure Cup starter deck Rush Luffy that Newgate's got. So interesting hand here. Got several 2Ks with a Makino and the Jozu, or I should say a couple of them. They do have that Nico Robin there, but I don't think they have stuff besides the Ace Rush character that can lower cost of characters. So it'll be interesting to see. I bet they leave 2 Dawn up for the guard point and the radical beam, but really, really crazy, already going down to 0 life in this matchup. Not looking super good, but Edward Newgate, it dominated for so long, not necessarily seeing as much success in Japan, I would say, but it can get hot, especially with all those cards that it builds up in its hand. So we'll see how this goes. 6K swing, Marco right now, and it looks like, I will say, they have some counters with the Zoro, with the little Zoro guy there, and then also the Gadatsu. Nothing else. Those big moms don't have counter powers, so only 1K's in hand, I will say. So there's opportunities here for the Edward Newgate player to really start taking some life if they put some characters down. And oh my goodness, just another trigger of play down a character, discard a card from your hand. Absolutely crazy. Getting the Satori and also the Pharaoh off of that, just Katakuri yellow decks doing yellow things, I will say. So Edward Newgate now going to go for that 6k swing at leader, going to force either 2 1ks or a 2k or a life. Which one does Katakuri find is a better idea? I would say with this hand, yeah, I would say maybe your Zoros. It might be worth it here to take out your Zoros. You do have Gadatsus, right? And you also have Big Moms, so I feel like your Big Moms are probably what you're playing. I feel like for a lot of the game that's left, you know, just continuously probably adding your own life. I think you have to add your own life when Newgate's out here. I think that's how that interaction works. How do I not know that? Anyways, continuing going on, the Edward Newgate still has all of their Dawn left for this opportunity. Newgate, one of the few cards that it has added, the Nico Robin, on play KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 1000 power or lower. That is just going to be used as counter power, I feel like, in this match. So definitely not going to worry too much about that new card in OP06. And it looks like they've spread out their... Why did they separate these cards in this way? 5 and 6, maybe just to separate it, I guess. I don't really know. But thinking about the Nami, trying to think about what they would get off the Nami, what they're trying to look for. They might be looking for a Rush Zoro just for another kind of quick attack into the Katakuri, really just forcing out the counters or taking life. And it looks like they are going to find that Rush Sanji. The Edward Newgate is pretty cool. The 9-drop Newgate. I don't know if you want that, though, because in this situation, you're already down to 0 life. You probably either want to get more towards counter power or no, because you're not like necessarily playing the mirror match, right? So the boost in Dawn, you already kind of have a indirect boost in Dawn. So that is the, I think, Treasure Cup Luffy. That's going to be that Rush starter deck Luffy. Not attaching any Dawn to it, though. Having one left. Probably going to save it for the Rad Beam or the Guard Point. I would assume probably just whatever feels better. And this 6k swing is going to hit into the life and another trigger, it looks like. Oh my gosh, dude. I mean, this one isn't as... Actually, this one is huge. The on play effect, 4-drop Okiku. I always say that name. I super struggle with that name. If your opponent's life is at 3 or less, place the top card of your deck on the top of your life. They did not opt to do that, so I guess it doesn't work on the trigger. The on play effect doesn't work with the trigger. I think I had that question the other day, and I was like, why didn't they add a card from their top of their deck to their life? But I don't think Okiku works on trigger for anyone who's curious about that. So now with 1 Dawn up, passing into the Katakuri player. Interesting that they didn't like play down the Marco, probably more valuing the extra swing with the Rush Luffy. So they've got a lot of counter power in hand, I will say. So I don't know how worried they are. These Sanjis are 1k, so they're going to have to discard one of the Sanjis right there off that Okiku because they're both at 6k for that attack. And Katakuri now with 8 Dawn, I believe, on this turn. Really got to think about how they want to distribute that Dawn, because really they just need one attack to go through. You know they have at least one Radical Beam or Guard Point, one of the two, and you're probably thinking in this scenario that it's probably Radical Beam, right? If they've only left out 1 Dawn instead of 2. Because with the size of that hand, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that they may have like 2 counter or 2 Dawns worth of counters in hand, and it looks like they're just gonna go for it. So That is all 8 Dawn right there, plus 1. So that is a 13, 14 swing. So 14 swing into leader, and then probably planning to swing with the Pharaohs and the whatever that balloon guy is. I've given up on trying to remember that guy's name in here. Satori. So it looks like Radical Beam is definitely first. Going to get that extra plus 2,000 to be a plus 4,000 power for 1 Dawn. That's 10k, right? They have to get to 15. So interesting that they're going to give up all of these. So there's a 2k right there. 1, 1, and 1. So there's 15 right there. They did defend that attack. And Katakuri just passed. So does Katakuri think... Oh, no, because Pharaoh... That's right. Pharaoh and Satori cannot swing because they are 5k individuals. So the ball is really in Edward Newgate's court now, I feel like, at this point. After that super aggressive swing. So here we go. It's now 8k Marco into Katakuri. They're going to take it, and it is going to trigger the 200 million V Amaru, gaining 3,000 power, and if your life card is at 1 or less, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. Now that would be Nami, I would think, right? Did they choose not to? Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's the trigger. Trash 2 cards from your hand, add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life. My apologies. Still learning these cards. OP05's not out in English yet, so it will be soon though. Hopefully I'll be opening up a booster box of the OP05 when that comes out later next week. So we'll see how it goes. They're really thinking about now, this Edward Newgate, how they want to place around the Dawn. It looks like a pretty interesting position because, well, I guess Newgate isn't really as knowledgeable. I guess they don't know any of these cards, maybe just one of the cards, but because I think the Charlotte Pudding at the beginning of the game found one of the Gadatsus. So they know probably at least 1k in hand because they haven't seen that card yet. So it looks like they're really thinking, and they're like, okay, I think we got to win on this turn. So it might actually just come down to this turn. So swinging 7 at leader, and that's actually going to go over, and so it's going to be this card. It is that balloon guy, Satori. That's a 2k counter, which is actually a big deal, but I think they're just going to put all the rest of their Dawn onto the Luffy, if I had to take a guess. Okay, I thought they were going to put it on the Nami at first, so yeah, and it looks like that's going to be the game. Edward Newgate taking the win there. It's a little scary, especially when they said 14 swing, but at that point, I don't know what I would have preferred. I mean, hindsight's always 20/20. I don't know if it was always better to swing wider instead of swing taller. I'm not 100% sure. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of this match. I thought that was a good match. It was very interesting, especially seeing some of the newer cards in here. The Katakuri really just got a whole bunch of triggers too. Unfortunately, Edward Newgate didn't play a ton of new cards that we didn't get to see really in action. We just saw them as counters and in the hand, but still a decent game, especially with Newgate coming back in full swing with the Radical Beams and the 9-drop Newgate. So we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you'd like to see more. I'm going to post more anyways, whether you like it or not, so might as well stick around for the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.